Digital marketing seems to be the mystery that most entrepreneurs struggle with, and real estate investors are no exception. The truth is, there are multiple avenues to success. Those experiences will be best shared by the guests on this podcast. My name is Jason Wright, and I would like to welcome you to Real Estate Investor Marketing Stories. What is going on? Jason Wright here, bringing you episode number 24 of the podcast. And you know the drill by now, if you've heard an episode before. Great guest today. Some thoughts from me before we get into the show. So if you heard the last podcast, I teased at the fact that I was going to Cabo San Lucas and that there was a great challenge required for me to overcome in order to go. And I'll share that with you now. So when I was in Miami, it's probably about 2 weeks ago by the time you're listening to this, I had an opportunity to go to Cabo San Lucas with a very short window, maybe a week and a half to figure this out. And one thing I knew right away was that I needed a passport. Well, apparently I'm the only 41-year-old born in America without a passport. That's what everybody tells me, but never had a passport. So I didn't think it was even possible to get one that soon. So I did my research, and there is a couple options. There's an emergency option, which I didn't qualify for, and there is one called urgent travel. And it is for people who have 14 days or less before they're supposed to go on a trip, and you have to have proof of like flights or hotel. And I'm like, well, this is kind of scary. So like, what if it doesn't work out? First thing we did is buy non-refundable flights. We have flights, and I don't have a guarantee that I'm gonna get a passport. And what I have to do is I have to secure an appointment with a dedicated office somewhere in the United States before my trip and hope that I get a passport in one day. And I did all kinds of research on it for people it worked out for, people it didn't work out for, etc. So kind of scary, but here's kind of the scenario. If I can get to Cabo on this trip, I know it'll be time well spent in business, ROI positive, a great use of my time. Now, in order to make it possible to pull it off, it's going to require a bunch of money out of my pocket and a bunch of inconvenience. So kind of the point here is, how bad do you want it, whatever it may be? You say you want to raise $1 million or you want to raise $50 million this year in your business. Are you actually willing to do what it takes to get to where you want to go? That's the soul-searching moment I want you to reflect on right here for a second. So I had to spend a bunch of money. I always tell you, I spent $1,500 to go to El Paso, Texas for one day. That's round trip flights. That's cost of the expedited passport, and nothing's guaranteed. So I also bought flights to Mexico and back, non-refundable. There's another grand, $2,500, nothing guaranteed. I've got to spend a day traveling there and spend a day traveling back. Not fun, honestly. Coming back, couldn't get out of El Paso. Then I got to Dallas, couldn't get out of Dallas. Got home at about 3:30 a.m. this past Saturday for me. So a lot of money, a lot of fatigue, a lot of discomfort involved. But guess what? Got the passport in 4 hours. Did my research. Got everything I needed before I went. Triple checked it, then triple checked it again. Checked this thing like a crazy person. But if you set a goal and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it, like for real, stuff happens. Good stuff happens. Now, is it guaranteed? No, but it's guaranteed not to work if you don't try. There you go. All right. In this episode of the podcast, I'm talking to a great guest. Her name is Angie Aki. She's the founder of Ohana Investment Partners. And here's a bit about what I know about Angie. Been a real estate investor for 5+ years. She has executed over 100 real estate transactions, so definitely not a rookie. And she's got an equity share in over 800 doors. We had a great conversation. I can't wait to share it with you. Let's get into it now. Hey, Angie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I would love to hear it. I'm going to ask you a little bit different question than normal, but I'd love to hear how you got started with capital raising, marketing, and sales. And it's going to be fun because that's kind of my world as well. So let's hear that story.
Well, it goes back about 20 years, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So I graduated with a hospitality and marketing degree and meant to go into sales and hospitality. I always knew I wanted to do sales. I grew up, my father was a salesperson. I saw the flexibility of schedule, and that was really attractive. And I knew I could kind of chart my own course. So I knew I wanted to be in sales. Unfortunately, I graduated with a hospitality and marketing degree in December of 2001. So right after September 11th. So obviously had to find a job, found myself in printing sales and then payroll sales. And then I ended up the large portion of my corporate career was in pharmaceutical sales. So I've been in sales for over 20 years. I love sales. I know people think I'm crazy. It's okay. I love sales. My husband and I are both salespeople. We always say nothing happens till someone sells something. I'm a firm believer in that. So sales and marketing is really intriguing. I left the corporate world in July of 2019. I had had enough of pharmaceutical sales. It treated me very well, but quite frankly, I did not want to do it anymore and had no passion for it. So I left to get into wholesaling single family houses. So if you're listening and you're not sure what wholesaling is, to boil it down to the basics, you're in essence getting a property under contract with the seller, and you're finding an end buyer and selling that contract for whatever that price is with the seller plus whatever margin you want to make is. So I did that. Quite frankly, I think it's one of the fastest paths to cash in real estate investing. It suited my skills really well as far as sales and marketing, and I did very well out of the gates with that. Just myself and a couple other people that I had on my team. And then I had a little bit of an aha moment at the end of 2021 and said, hey, I've built this business that I don't love because it's really active as far as active real estate investing. And you really have no control in wholesaling. You're not the buyer and you're not the seller.
Yep.
So right around that time, I stumbled upon commercial real estate investing. And I'm a very logical person and went, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's based on finances. It's based on revenue and expenses, right? Cap rates and NOIs, and kind of fell in love with it. And as part of the team, right, with syndications and commercial real estate investing, a lot of it is a team sport. So I spent, before I launched Ohana Investment Partners, I spent the last part of 2021 really digging into what I like, what I'm good at, what I want to do, and the value that I could bring to a team as far as syndications. So here we are. I'm still in sales and marketing. I love working with the investors I work with, and I love working with the operators I work with too. So I spend a lot of time vetting the operators and sponsor teams that I will work with, and I really work with a lot of my investors almost like a family or a community, hence the name Ohana.
Very nice. Beautiful. And the good thing about your personality is like you seem like a people person to me. So that sales and that marketing, it's so natural. It's like you feel empty if you don't do it, you know? So I've got a buddy, this is kind of off topic, but I've got a buddy that entrepreneur like me who started in the same area about the same time, and he hates sales. Like he hates the sales calls, and he hires somebody else to do it. And I was like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't do that. Like I would wither up and die inside. Like I need, and my daughter's the same way. It's like, I need people to recharge and feel alive. So we're all different, but when you can play to your strengths, it's great. It doesn't feel like work, you know?
It doesn't feel like you're pushing the boulder up the mountain, right? So it is. I host local events here in Orlando as well. I met some of my investors last week that I had never met in person. They came to my event, so that was really cool. But I love people. I love what I do. And it's all in the sales and marketing funnel.
Very, very nice. So when you're working with syndication teams, is there typical asset classes or markets that you kind of find yourself involved with, or what are your thoughts there?
So markets, yes. Asset classes or asset types, I should say, no. So the markets that I specialize in are the Southeast and the Sunbelt states. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I understand sunshine. I understand the Southeast, right? So when we start talking about radiators and snow, and I just like, I have no idea, right? So I am really comfortable with the Sunbelt states and the Southeast markets. I understand that it makes sense to me based on the migration patterns and employment coming to those locations. I know there are great investments, for instance, in the Midwest. I'm not educated enough to be able to vet those offerings well enough, to be quite frank. So I stick within the Southeast and Sunbelt states as far as markets. As far as asset classes and types, I don't. So my goal and my vision within Ohana Investment Partners is be able to work with investors like yourself, right? Or someone that would come on board as an investor and help them diversify within Ohana Investment Partners. So maybe it's diversification between the operations team or the sponsor team. Maybe it's the asset type. So um, I will work with teams on multifamily or apartments. We have a short-term rental fund also that I'm working on. I'm a fund manager on this year. We did this last year as well. It was very successful. We're doing it again. Land entitlements. So I've worked with teams on land entitlements. I'm looking for some storage deals. So if you know of any, please let me know. So yeah, it's you know, I don't think, I mean, I know some people do specialize in asset classes and asset types, and I think that's probably right for them. But I want people to get more comfortable both with working with me and then also the operations team or operator team and sponsors that I'm bringing to the table. And then we can diversify from there.
I think that's really smart, and your strategy there's really aligned with what I'm trying to do as well, right? It just makes so much sense. Diversification within your company, it's so smart. So I love it, love it, love it. So when you think about the real estate investing journey for you, what were the simple marketing strategies that allowed you to start attracting investors? What worked for you?
Relationships. I'm a huge relationship person. I do like this is my happy place. Like you said, this feeds me, right? This gets me going. I love meeting with people. I love talking to people, understanding what their investment goals are. I spoke with an investor a couple weeks ago. He's based out of California. I get to learn, unfortunately, his child had some brain trauma. So I understand that family a little bit better. And I think when you understand your investors a little bit better, you're invested in them because my goal, right? And going back to, I wanted to create an Ohana, a community, a family. So I really, and this sounds so cheesy, but I really believe together we can do amazing things, right? So I want to create generational wealth together for a multitude of different families. And then we can impact communities that we're investing in. And I firmly believe in the ripple effect. So I think a lot of that is creating that community. And so a lot of my investors have come from relationships and network, and now they're coming through referrals, which is great.
Yep. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing for people watching and listening, showing the real authentic side of you and making the human connection. What a concept. Like, works really well, but people try to avoid it.
I know.
I understand why my marketing doesn't work, because you sound like a robot and nobody's going to resonate with your horrible approach to your message. Like, do you really not know?
I know.
What works face to face, you just talk to people the same way online. And if you're authentically yourself, you're going to attract some people, repel others, and beautiful things happen if you just do it right. And for people that are wired like you and I, it's just like you said, we both said, so natural and so easy, and it's so enjoyable to do.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah. And some of it's not scalable. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm hosting events and I know I've talked to some people and they're like, oh, you have to do this on LinkedIn and this on LinkedIn and like you're DMing everyone and follow me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a full-time job. So that I don't love.
Yeah.
Right. So I do outsource a lot of that, and then I'll go in and comment and do stuff like that. But you have to do what works really well. And so even for me, I prefer face-to-face events, but I also do webinars. I also do connect on social media. It's just not as natural for me, right? But I know in order to scale, I have to do that. And then too, but once you start doing it, I mean, I'm planning an event for the fall of this year. So, and it's going to be for investors, right? And so I want to still meet people.
Yeah.
And so is that scalable? I don't know, maybe not. But at the end of the day, you don't need 10,000 investors. You really don't.
Yeah.
You need a core group of investors that know, like, and trust you and want to invest with you and rinse and repeat.
Yep. I was talking to somebody the other day, last week, and we were talking about the same thing. It was like, whether you're looking for clients or looking for investors, you don't need as many as you think to really make a big impact on your company and their company and your team. It's just about getting the right people there for the right reasons, you know. And once I started to actually see that work in my business, like, holy cow. So that is true. Like, it's a lot lower than I thought. And it's a great thing. It alleviates a lot of stress if you hear that and you embrace that as truth as well. So,
Mhm. Absolutely.
all right, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball. What would you say the biggest mistake is you've made in marketing, or your biggest regret so far, if
Oh,
any?
I mean, come on. There's always something. There's always something. Um, the biggest mistake, um, so thinking, and you can, so this was not specific to, this was, I was working on a course in marketing, a course, because I do really like to inspire and coach people. So I created a course and I hired a marketing team to market it. And so I found that in my experience, right? You can't really, it's very difficult to outsource something completely without having your hands on it in some capacity.
Yep.
So the human nature is like, oh, I want you to go do this for me. And you do need to, so there's a fine line between saying, hey, I'm not good at this, or I suck at this, or whatever it is, right? And I need to outsource this, but you still have to have some type of knowledge, of oversight on it, or feedback. So that was an epic failure, and that was a lot of money down the drain, to be quite frank. And then once I started marketing it myself a little more organically, it kind of picked up. I ended up shutting it down and working on repurposing a couple things, to focus more on real estate investing and some mindset stuff. But it's more organic, and it doesn't have to go out to the masses. You don't have to have, this goes back to, you don't have to have 8,000 clients. You really don't. You just need, you need people that resonate with you, and that you resonate. And that's also with people you hire, right? I hired this marketing team. They sucked. I'm just going to put it out there.
There's a lot of bad ones out there. I know that.
They were horrible. Now I have a great marketing team, but they came referred from a girlfriend of mine. I know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
This team is like, they're amazing. They're already like family. So, it's pulling the trigger and expecting something to be completely done for you. You still have to have, as a business owner, some type of insight or understanding, in my experience.
Yeah, it's great. Like, we tell people who hire us for our project, like, it's as done for you as it can be, but it is not totally done for you, because there's things you need to do I can't do for you because I'm not you. We're going to save you dozens of hours. We're there for all the support. We'll train you, but there's stuff that you need to do, and we very clearly lay that out. Because anytime I hear somebody say, I need a done for you project, I'll say, well, it's not happening with what we do. Let me explain, because it's important to set expectations. I've got a question for you, because I know what you like. How do you think mindset and belief play into the new investor getting started, trying to build that business, or even for the new entrepreneur? What are your thoughts on that?
So let me quantify mindset. I have clarity on what you are asking, but when you say belief, do you mean faith, or belief in yourself, or both?
Both, whatever you want it to mean. Yeah.
So I think both are the foundation of everything that you're going to do, right? So if you are going to build a business, if you are a new investor, whether you're active or passive, and you don't have the mindset there, you don't believe in yourself, you haven't worked on overcoming any limiting beliefs you have, or you're suffering from self-sabotage, or whatever it is, right? You're not going to be successful, in my opinion, or you're not going to be as successful as you can and should be and deserve to be. So I personally work on my mindset at least 1 hour every single day. It's in the morning. It's part of my routine. Without that foundation, my day is it's like a whirlwind. It's not good. So I'm a big proponent of mindset. I really think it's worth working on. I think it's the foundation of everything you're going to build. Same thing with faith. So for me personally, that has been leaving my corporate job, making multiple six figures, and starting a business on my own was literally the biggest leap of faith I've ever taken. And it's the best thing I've done for myself, for my family, for my faith and spiritual life, because I've never looked back. And the people, I just look at my network, the people in my network over the past, so that was almost, oh my gosh, that was almost 4 years ago that I left corporate. I don't even recognize myself, and I don't even recognize my network. And it's been such, like, truly, I believe it is the biggest gift from God that I've been given. And so it's done. I mean, I think both are really important. And I think it's worth working on. So many people focus on the revenue. I think it's well worth focusing on both your mindset and your spiritual life, whatever that looks like for you, before going out into entrepreneurship, because you're gonna get knocked down. At least I did. I don't know if you did, Jason. I got knocked down, right? You get kicked in the face. You got to pick yourself up, and you have to keep going. You have to push through fear and keep going.
Yep. No, it's really well said. And for those that don't know my journey, I quit corporate twice. In the first 3 years of building this business were hell. My wife didn't work. Getting some really bad financial situations, and people mocked me and teased me, and we couldn't go out to eat, and we couldn't do stuff, and we had to sell a whole bunch of stuff to make ends meet. But you know what? When people ask me, what are you most thankful for in your journey? It's the struggle, honestly, because without the struggle, it wouldn't make me who I am today. I'm not scared to go back to zero. I'll rebuild it again if I have to, but it makes you a different animal for sure. And what I've learned is everything is a mindset game, right? If it's a physical challenge, and I'm not an endurance athlete, but you talk to these people who've done Ironmans and crazier stuff than that, it always comes back to switching over to a physical challenge, a mental challenge at some point. So, even in entrepreneurship, I came across a limiting belief of my own in last month in March. I didn't realize I had. It was about income, and it was weird because once I hit a couple of goals that I'd had. One I thought I'd never hit, but I hit both of them in 1 month, and I was like deflated. Like I was like, I've reached all my goals. Like now what? And it was really weird. I had like, it was a really weird place for like 2 or 3 days, and then I had to say, okay, you can do this. It happened way quicker than you thought. So don't ever say, oh, the business isn't ready for that yet because of X, Y, Z, because you really don't know. Stuff can get super crazy for all of us overnight, and it may take 10 times longer than you think, but just acknowledging that none of us have any limits, especially for things that are out of our control, like customers or new investors coming in. They could come in a big wave with no warning and for no reason at any time. So, yeah.
You're your own limiting belief, right? You're your own limit is whatever is in your mindset. And I was laughing because I literally had a call with someone this morning. So I help people, passively invest in real estate. I also help businesses access the employee retention credit. So I work a lot with B2B and businesses. So I was working with one of the mentors there within that program, and we went over my income goals for that. And he called me out. He's like, "You are shooting way too low.
Yeah.
You need to basically, 6x that."
Yep.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I thought I had readjusted my goal, but it is, we have to overcome our own limiting beliefs. And just like you said, Jason, it's doing it. And then when we hit it, right, you kind of go back to the table and say, okay, where do I need to increase my goals?
Yep.
What else, right? Because we stand in our own way all the time.
Yep. So I've like snapped out of that funk, and I've got new goals for the year now. Like, and I do it a few different ways. I look at like monthly revenue, like the average monthly, and then like quarterly gives me a pace. But it's funny because my goal now versus my goal January 1st, completely different. It's like basically double, right? And I know I'll hit it. Like I know it's going to happen. So it's just cool stuff for whoever it can help.
Yeah. And now go out to dinner, right?
What'd you say?
I said, now you can go out to dinner. You said everything gave you a hard time, like making fun of you, right? And people do. I had a girl tell me I was stupid, literally, for quitting pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
I'm like, so for me, I'm like, well, now I'm going to go crush it, right? Like, that's just my mindset. But same with you, right? People saying, oh, you can't go to dinner. Like, what the heck? Look at you. You're like, oh, it's what? It's April 17th based on this recording. And so it's April 17th. And you're saying, hey, I 2x'd my goals for the year and I know I'm going to hit it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, heck, who's laughing now, right? Because you had the gusto and the courage to go out there and take charge of your own life and your own dream.
Like this, my motivation during those first 3 years, and I think about it now, was a quote by Frank Sinatra: "The best revenge is massive success." Right? So all of those people who said stuff, guess what? None of them say anything now. They say stuff like, "Can I work for you? What are you into?" We're a mysterious group, us here at The Rights. I wear T-shirts and basketball shorts and drive a 20-year-old car, and people are like, I don't know what these guys are into. And I'm like, we're not selling drugs, I promise, but we do what we want. We live a good life, but we're not flashy about it. It's just our style. So it gives me great comfort to see where we've come from, and can't wait to see where we go,
Yeah. It's have you ever read The Millionaire Next Door?
I've heard of it. I have not
Oh,
read it, but I like the concept there.
you should read it because the Aki family is the same as the Wright family, apparently, right? So I'm in my Camry, my husband's in a Subaru, and if
Camry too.
yeah, if you read The Millionaire Next Door,
Yeah.
it sounds like your family is the millionaire next door, and it's really cool to read a book and go, oh my gosh, that's us.
Yeah. I love it because it keeps
So
people
go read that.
so curious, aren't they? What are they up to? What's going on? Yeah.
Good
Uh,
thing.
let me ask you, can you share a story, and I'll change it a bit. It can be about your entrepreneurial journey or your real estate investing journey that you haven't shared publicly or you haven't shared on another podcast. And it could be anything you want to. It could be something funny, it could be something you learn, it could be a win, whatever you like. Just looking for a bit of,
So
I think, uncut Angie here.
So I have people that are here locally may have heard the story, but I haven't shared it on a podcast. So I will. I was wholesaling. And so remember, when you're wholesaling, you're dealing with distressed situations or distressed properties, right? So I get this lead and I go out to meet this lady at her house in Orlando, in East Orlando. It's in a great area. And I'm like, all right, I'll meet you there. And you never know what you're gonna get. It's a mixed bag of you know what, because it's always something.
Yeah.
So I get there and I was like, what is this? The house, like there's no water, there's no electric, there's no whatever. And it's on acreage in Orlando. Sounds like it may be favorable. It
Yeah.
was not favorable. So she had a bunch of dogs in the house that were in there and she would just come check on them a couple days. I don't know if it was a puppy mill or what, but feces everywhere. Like you could not, you stunned.
Breathe the air, can you?
Feces. You can't breathe the air. It was awful. So then I'm like, okay, this is good. I've got enough. Let's go outside, right? So we go outside and she's like, let me show you this other building. Let me show you this half empty pool and all this stuff. And there's a freaking goose. And I'm like, so this goose is basically chasing me. And I'm like, dude, your goose is chasing me. He's like, no, Goosey's fine. Goosey just likes to play. So she picks Goosey up and oh shit. Goosey's like, man, and pecks her right in the lip. All of a sudden she's bleeding. And I'm like, Goosey doesn't seem so friendly. So she puts Goosey down. And I'm at this point, I'm like, this is just gone way south. Like, I need to go. I will send my offer to you via text or call or something, but it's not going to be here. Then all of a sudden, this stupid goose starts chasing me. I threw my purse at this goose and ran to my car. So that is the life. So if you're listening to this and you feel like wholesaling, right? Because it's the fastest path to cash in real estate, in my opinion, and you feel like it may be right for you, ask how quickly you can run away from a goose or how you feel about stepping in feces, because that was my life for a couple of years. And I still laugh about it. It's still funny. My family laughs at it every time we see a goose. My like, hey, mommy, remember you told me one time that goose chased?
How'd you get your purse back? Did you have to go back?
I think she corralled the goose and I ran out and got it.
What's really funny about that story is my daughter would kill me, but she's her nickname's Goose. So I call her Goosey. She'd be humiliated if the world heard that, which it will. We went out to dinner last night for my son's birthday. He's 17 today. And we're coming out by the car. I'm in central Indiana. There's a Canadian goose, the nest about 10 feet away. I was like, hey, kids, you want to see a goose get mad? I said, just stare at this goose and watch how mad it gets. It starts hissing, and I'm hissing back, and it starts heading our way. And I was like, they get pretty aggressive, so it's time to get in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, I am now terrified of geese. So,
Funny.
yeah, it is not, and do not mail me a stuffed goose thing. But yeah, it is. I am terrified of geese. So that's my
The property sold, or what happened to the property?
no. I don't know what she did with it. She wanted, right? It's like every seller, they want $1 million for something that's worth about 10. So I mean, she probably got it in this recent market. So she probably got it, and they maybe bulldozed it. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
He's got free and ran away.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully that. And hopefully, I don't know what with the goose, but
All right. So if you talk to somebody new today and they said, hey, Angie, I really want to get started raising capital, what do you suggest I focus on for my marketing? What would you tell
from a raising capital standpoint, I would say you really so twofold. Number one is figure out what teams you're going to work with, what operators, what sponsor teams you're going to work with. That is so critical because it's your reputation. You're working, right? So you're working with investors, and then you're working with different syndication teams. Even if you're a fund manager, right? And you're putting those funds into another fund or whatever the case is, you're leaning on a lot of other people's resumes. And so you really want to make sure you're doing the due diligence for that operations team or that sponsor team. How many full cycles have they gone? So I started asking people to send me examples of different communications they sent out to investors or people that they've worked with. So I want to know how they're communicating. How frequently are they communicating? I want to hop on asset management calls. That's a requirement, by the way. So you need to make sure you're doing that. But see if you can hop on some calls before you start working with people to understand how they work with their property management teams and asset management teams. That I think is so important. And then otherwise, tell everyone what you do. So go through your Rolodex. Right now, I'm aging myself, but not a real Rolodex. Your phone,
I used to have him too.
yeah, I mean, hey, I kind of miss it. So go through your phone, right? Go through your contacts. Who do you know? Who's on your son's baseball team or soccer team? Who can you talk to? And people say, hey, what do you do? Don't just say, hey, I own a business. People know I help people passively invest in real estate. I can help you invest in an apartment complex by wiring funds or writing a check, right? So boil it down, practice your 30-second elevator pitch, and tell everyone what you do everywhere.
Yep. It always makes
That's a great way to start. It's an easy way to start.
Yeah, it really is, because you never know you might talk to somebody who's not ready themselves, but their brother or their parents might be. So
Yeah. Or you might,
the network.
yeah. You might talk to someone that's driving a 20-year-old Camry, right?
Like me.
But hey, maybe they're ready to invest passively, right? So just make sure you're talking to everyone. Join networking groups. I'm a big proponent of networking and building relationships. So get out there. And if there's not a networking event or group you want to join, create your own.
Yeah.
I host it myself. I have local stuff here. I go to stuff all the time. So just keep talking to people.
So are you talking about like a meetup? Is that what you'd call that, or something? Yeah.
Yeah, a meetup, or your we have Central Florida real estate investors here. So I'm starting an investor club at one of the business clubs I'm a member at.
Very nice.
So yeah, if you don't have stuff out there that suits you, then maybe other people are looking for something as well. Create your own meetup.
Yep.
Create your own online. I host a women's meetup.
Yep.
So we do stuff for investors, and then I do stuff that's targeted for women only. Yep. And it's for female entrepreneurs. So I also, you're right. So I help people passively invest in real estate, but I also am helping female entrepreneurs in other capacities as well. So I started a female meetup. So it kind of suits both.
Nice. Very nice. All right. So you said it earlier. We're at April 17th, 2023 as we record this. For anybody listening, I hope your taxes are done. You only have one day left to get those turned in. What are you focused on for the rest of this year in your business as you look between now and 12/31? Where's your focus at?
So I have two, because I have my business a little segmented.
Yep.
So from the passive investing side, it's really growing. I spent a lot of last year honing in on operators and sponsor teams that I'm working with. And so we have deals, right? It's really growing those investor relationships, getting more referrals, and growing my investor database. So that's my number one focus, and doing it in a way that is more organic, more personal, and really connecting with investors. And then the other side is the employee retention credit. So it's more of a business to business marketing, and that is creating referral partners and talking to associations, going to more conferences and things like that to build that referral base. So kind of twofold because it's almost two separate businesses.
Yeah. I don't think you'll get bored.
No, I never do. I know. My husband's like, what else are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Nothing this year, and then something comes up. Yeah.
I've got no off switch as I describe it, so I totally understand. How can our listeners watching or listening get more info from you or learn more about what you're doing?
So the best way is to go to ohanainvestmentpartners.com and go to our website. There's information there. You can sign up as an interested investor. There's articles. You'll see our events there. So everything is there. If you want to reach out to me directly, honestly, the best way is email. You can email me, Angie at ohanainvestmentpartners.com. And I'll make sure, Jason, that you get some other links and whatnot. But if you're listening and you're like me, I can remember one thing. So just remember ohanainvestmentpartners.com, and you'll find me there.
Well, thanks for coming on today. This was a blast. I hope it was for you as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yep. Thank you for listening to this episode of the show. I had a great time making it, and I hope you really enjoyed yourself listening to it. If you want to keep up with all things Real Estate Investor Marketing Stories podcast related, I encourage you strongly to go to reimarketingstories.com and signing up for our podcast newsletter. We will simply keep you up to date with what's going on at the show, new episodes, and things like that. reimarketingstories.com. So hopefully today's episode and the other episodes that you'll listen to will remind you that as a real estate investor, everybody starts at the beginning, okay? Our guest today and the other guests that you will hear on this show will share their real story, right? They'll tell you what worked, what didn't work. And I want you to remember one thing, if you remember nothing else today. It's possible for you too, okay? Never stop going and keep following your passion. Finally, today's show has been brought to you by capitalraisingautomations.com. If you're an active capital raiser and you are ready to learn the 3 areas that are holding you back from raising more capital, I strongly suggest you check out capitalraisingautomations.com. Check out our free 10-minute video there, and you let me know if it doesn't provide you value. I'm sure it will. All right, thanks again for listening to the show this week. Hope to see you next time. Take care.